Good evening. Welcome to the Land Use and Building Management Committee of the Common Council. It is April 2nd at 7 o'clock. I am calling this meeting to order. First item on the agenda tonight is a public hearing. Parking Authority lease of Sono train station to Tacos Please LLC. One, authorize the leasing of approximately 1,300 plus or minus square feet of space at the South Norwalk train station inbound side to Adrian Hurtado, Tacos Please LLC, for a term of 5 years with two leasing options to extend the term for consecutive 5-year periods each, rent to be negotiated and approved by the Norwalk Parking Authority. Do we have anyone here who would like to speak on the during the public hearing for the Sono train station?
Yes, we do. Ms. Larichello, you're unmuted.
Ms. Larichello, go ahead. You have 3 minutes on the public hearing.
I'm here for the public participation later on.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So we'll hold off on that. Is there anyone else online?
There is no one raising their hand.
Okay. All right. We will go ahead and close the public hearing and move on to roll call. Tonight we have with us committee members James Frayer, Heather Dunn, Nicole Eady, Greg Burnett, and myself, Barbara Smith. Currently, we are missing council members DeJuan Wiggins and Nicole Ayers, and as they arrive, we can go ahead and note that. Now moving on to the acceptance of the minutes of March 5th, 2025. Do I have a motion? Ms. Eady, thank you for that motion. Are there any changes, corrections, deletions, additions? Nope. Okay, seeing none, all in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, that is unanimous. Thank you very much. And now moving on to public participation. And Ms. Larichello, you may go ahead. You have 3 minutes.
Am I unmuted?
Yeah, there you go. Yep, you're there. You're unmuted. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I'm in a public restroom, so I apologize if there's any flushing or anything like that that goes on during my 3 minutes. Okay. Anyway, for the record, my name is Diane Larichello, and I live at 21 Little Fox Lane. Good evening. For the record, I wanted just to speak on 2 items, probably just 1 item for tonight's agenda. It's number 7B as in boy, the Norwalk High School PTEC Eversource contract. For a city that I would like to think truly does want to become the greenest city in the state, or aspires to become that. For many years, many of you know that I have offered, suggested, referred the staff and select council people in the mayor's office, as well as you, to look at renewable energy as a way forward, not only as the right thing to do to reduce our carbon footprint, but also to save money. So when I saw this on the agenda just yesterday, I thought this seems to be the antithesis of what we said we were going to do, especially on Norwalk High School, with the potential for solar panels. And quite frankly, solar on part of the roof and a carport, and I think there could even have been more planned. The policy of this city out of the building management department, as well as select council people and former council people like your predecessor, Madam Chair, seem not to feel that it should be a holistic approach when we're looking at this sort of thing. So I am opposed to this 15-year plan with Eversource. I know what has happened when you all pull underground fuel tanks, which of course I'm in favor of. I don't want them to leak. But instead of looking at each of the schools, especially this one, you automatically have a deal with Eversource to install or utilize pipes for fracked gas, not natural gas, fracked gas. And as you know, Eversource has again raised their prices quite high year over year, especially this year for gas. So I think that any of you that vote to move this forward without any kind of discussion of going back to the drawing board and finding out what the heck we're doing about the solar panel part of it. And it's not just, you can use solar and geothermal for heating the school. It's not just the electric lights. And I, again, have been discussing this with Mr. Lowe, Mr. Livingston, you, Madam Chair, and others for years. And quite frankly, I say this is disappointing. Please vote no or ask that it be brought back to committee, table it for now, and find out exactly what part of Norwalk High School will be renewable energy, because this seems to be a sneaky way to stop the use of solar and other possible renewables. And I am opposed to it, especially the length of time, because the
You're at
price
3.5
on gas.
minutes. You're at 3.5 minutes now, Diane.
Thank you. Thank you for your time. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak?
There is not.
Okay, all right. So then we will go ahead and close public participation and move on to old business. Item A, Parking Authority lease of Sono Train Station to Tacos Please LLC. 1, authorize the leasing of approximately 1,300 plus or minus square feet of space at the South Norwalk train station inbound side to Adrian Hurtado, Tacos Please LLC for a term of 5 years with 2 leasing options to extend the term for consecutive 5 years periods each, rent to be negotiated and approved by the Norwalk Parking Authority. Do I have a motion, please? Mr. Freyer. Thank you very much. We did, discuss this last month at our very brief meeting in order to set this public hearing. And so I'm just going to turn it over to Brian Lutz from the Norwalk Parking Authority to answer questions, give any more details, and talk about the process.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, we're just going through the state process to get a state or city municipal owned space rented to this interested party. Looking forward to it, but happy to answer any questions if you have anything further from our meeting from last month.
Ms. Edie.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Hi, Brian, thank you
Hi.
for being here. I do have a quick question. I'm just wondering, with the times and how things are happening, what happens? So if they sign a lease for 5 years, like what happens if things change? Like,
So like, as you mean,
Yeah.
like if they don't succeed?
yeah,
there's-
or something, not saying that they won't, but
Yeah. I mean, his pro forma is very strong. We do believe he's he's going to be successful, but in the event it doesn't, he's not successful, we're putting in a good guy clause, which kind of gives both parties the flexibility to get out of the agreement.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
And it'll give us enough notice to look for another
And
tenant
somebody
if that
else.
happens.
Right. Thank you.
Welcome.
Other questions? Okay. I know we did touch upon this last time, but Brian, could you just, because we had the situation with the prior proposal that it just didn't work out. And, I think that, what we talked about was, adding in some extra steps to assure, that we have strong proposals and good financials. So if you wouldn't mind, just, I think it's always worth it to go over these kind of things and talk about the
Sure.
step that you've added in.
Yeah, so we added with the background check, we're also doing a credit check on all of our interested parties, just to see if they have the financial backing to start a business. Also any type of capital funding that they're getting from investors. They submit a pro forma, 5-year pro forma, I believe we asked for. And we just do checks with legal as well before we kind of get to this point.
Excellent. And you know, what we have is a much loved business, already established business, taco guy down on Wall Street. And so, you know, we all want him to succeed. So if there are no further comments or questions, oh, go ahead, Ms. Dunn.
So the leasing, the fees for that, does that go into the general fund or does that go into parking authority fund?
It's parking authority.
And the maintenance comes out of the general fund or parking authority?
No, everything that the parking authority manages at the train station goes into the parking authority fund. And all the expenses, well, the expenses go out on the tenant. The tenant pays for all the expenses over there.
Okay.
Anything else? All right, I will call the vote now. All in favor, please raise your hand. All righty, that passes unanimously. Thanks very much. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
All right, moving on to new business. Item A, elevator maintenance contract bid number 4421. Number 1, authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute an agreement with TK Elevator Corporation for the elevator maintenance services at various city buildings. Agreement will be for 5 years, beginning July 1, 2025, for a total amount not to exceed $130,286.19. Funding is available in various building operating accounts for FY 25-26 and subsequent years will be subject to availability of operating funds. Will someone move the item, please? Mr. Freyer, thank you very much. Alan?
Oh, yes, good evening. Yeah, this is somewhat straightforward. The reason why it's when you divide 5 years, it's actually about $20,000 a year, I guess, right? I don't have the memo in front of me, sorry about that. But it's 5 years. The reason why it comes to accounts, typically $20,000 does not operating purposes does not come to common council, but because it's a 5-year agreement, that's why it comes to the council. It's somewhat straightforward. It's operating money comes to operating budget every year to pay for various elevators. Also, we included, I think it's 5,000. Is there a part B to this request? I think that if you look at the back of it, there's a part B to this. Is it on the agenda? Joanne, can you take it?
Yeah, the Lockwood Matthews Mansion.
Yeah.
It's the contingency.
Okay, yeah. So what happened is,
That's the
recently we've been,
allowance, right? Yeah.
yeah, allowance. Recently, we also have conversation about potential of the building management department taking on the responsibility of Lockwood Matthews Mansion as it completes renovations for later on this year and next year kind of thing, as well as anticipating that the recreation center in 90 South Main Street will be completed. So there's a possibility we add those elevators into this contract. That's why I did the allowance for it for $5,000 more. We do take it over, then we'll do an amendment to the agreement to cover that. Otherwise, it's the dollar amount that's stipulated in Action A for 5 years. They are currently the operator.
Let's add that in right now. I was reading them separately, but let me add in this part and we'll make that motion so we can vote on them together. Okay, so 2, authorize contingency allowance in the amount not to exceed $5,000 per year in the event building management takes on the management of Lockwood Matthews Mansion Museum as well as the Norwalk Community Recreation Center upon its completion. So can we move that, please? And Mr. Burnett, I'll take your motion, and I see you have a question.
Yeah, I have a question that as to whether we should be combining them and not voting on them separately because they're 2 different dollar amounts. Unless we're changing that and we're saying we're incorporating the $5,000 into the original amount.
It's very similar to what we do on most of our construction project. We do a 5% contingency. So in the event that happens, we'll either do increase on the purchase order or increase the contract. So, I mean, it's not unlike all of the, when we put any construction project, we do a 10% contingency, 5% contingency. Basically, that's all I'm asking for. But I was being a little more specific about why we needed money for a maintenance contract. Is the potential of, so I don't have to come back again for $5,000 less.
Yeah, I wasn't clear on the wording of the contingency because it said if the building management covers Lockwood Mansion and the recreation center. So it's like, that was my question. I was waiting for it to come up, but now that we're talking about it, can you provide more clarity? I'm not quite clear as to why we're voting on something that hasn't even formulated yet, and why we're not waiting till it actually happens. Lockwood Mansion and the rec center. You know, we're voting on dollars for something that's not actually in place right now. And what indicates it could be more money once we get to the end. I'm just not clear on this.
I think it's just a little bit of my foresight looking at those two property and anticipated, because this is coming up as part of the budget hearing right now about whether the building management department will be asked to take on those responsibility. So that's why I had it in there, so just in case that we are asked to, I don't have to come back to the common council, because the council will approve a very specific amount for 5 years. I cannot add anything to it for a few $1,000s that I go for another process to do it. It just added not so much work, but it's just a little more bureaucracy than we need to. But again, right now, the proposal that's submitted by the service contractor does not include those buildings. So this gives me the ability when the building management department is asked to take on those buildings, and when we take on those the elevator maintenance contract, I don't have to come back, and we can just do an increase on the purchase order.
So Alan, so just to be clear, Lockwood Matthews Mansion is likely to come up sooner than the community center because that construction will be completed sooner. I mean, when do you anticipate that this might come to pass where you need these additional funds?
The Lockwood Matthews Mansion project is substantially completed as of right now. The city of the building management department, or generally speaking, the city of Norwalk do not maintain that building. But with today's technology in that building, in terms of mechanical system, it's substantial to the point that we are asked by Lockwood Matthews Mansion representative board that they are not in a position to maintain a building with that type of equipment and technology. And they have suggested the building management, and they are requesting the city, the council, to consider the building manager taking over the operating of that building. So it's just a little bit of my thinking that as we take on to the managing the building, this is one of the costs that we may be doing managing the elevator as well. So that's why I provided this opportunity so that we can just do everything once in the event that happens. I don't need to come back for roughly $2,500 to add on to the contract. So if nothing happens, then nothing happens.
And it stays in the general fund.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Mr. Freyer. I'm sorry, Mr. Burnett, was your question answered or at least addressed?
It was answered. I'm still not comfortable with it, but.
Understood. Okay. Mr. Freyer.
Yeah. So Alan, the way I read this is that this is for services for elevator inspection, about $20,000 a year. If you have to take over the Lockwood Matthews Mansion, is the incremental amount that we'll have to pay for that inspection covered under this number 2?
Yes. This is a number I got. Yeah.
So let me put it another way. So we would not have to add any more than approximately $5,000 to inspect that additional elevator.
Right. I mean, again.
Okay. So basically, we're saying is that the number 1 is the elevator inspection services for the existing elevators that you work today, and then if you get the Matthews Mansion inspection requirements, this will be covered by that. but it's not gonna be $10,000 more for that. It's only 5,000, whatever the number is.
Yeah, it's for both building. I mean, it's also the the 90 South Main Street, which is the recreation center. So
Okay.
we're projecting that maybe $2,500 per location. So in the event that we are asked, the
Okay.
building manager is asked to manage this building, which include the elevator service, we have the approval to increase the contract amount to do it already. I mean, if we don't, if the committee and the council does not approve B, then I mean, be fine. Then I need to come back and request additional approval. It's kind of interesting. Do I have to come back for another additional approval? Because it's a multi-year contract. That's the reason. It's not the dollar amount. You know, under $100,000, you know, we can go directly to purchasing department to process a purchase order. But the reason why you're coming into council is because of a 5-year multi-year contract. That's why we're coming in. So again, if we do take on those building and we're gonna take on the management and contract of the service or elevator service, then I have to come back and request $2,500 for each one of these buildings. It's just a little bit of more, you know, bureaucracy, I guess, in a word.
No,
to go through every time.
I agree. I don't see any problem with that.
Yeah, you're working with efficiency. I mean, we've done this before, certainly in this committee and, you know, occasionally in other committees, but I've definitely seen us, you know, do this kind of contingency. You have the approval. If you don't need it, you don't use it. But if you need it, you don't have to go through this whole process, especially if you might be on a you know, deadline. You need to, you know, make a decision quickly. Mr. Burnett.
Yes, yes, and I agree. We can't always vote on, well, often we vote on contingency, but that contingency is usually aligned with the specific item that is already in place. This threw me for a loop because it was like, if we have to do work at Lockwood Mansion, or if we have to do work at the rec center, and that I don't think we focused on before. If we're doing a project for $100,000 and we're building in a contingency, it's very specific. It's 5% or 10% of that $100,000 for that specific project. But I don't recall us voting on a contingency for something that's not currently in place. That's my, you know, I don't have an issue with Lockwood Mansion or the rec center. I guess it's more process that, are we starting to approve things if it happens, not knowing that it actually would? And if there's possibility of additional expense that might come along with that. So this item might be coming back to us if at the end of the day, we take on, for example, Lockwood Mansion, and we find out it's more than the 2,500. It's going to come back to us. So that's my hesitation, the if part. You know, if we already had the contract with Lockwood Mansion and we built in contingency, no problem. But the if part is my hesitation.
But look, I just want to clarify something, Alan. This is specific to the elevators
Yes.
in both of the buildings. So it's specific to the contract for the elevators, for the maintenance of just the elevators. Now, you know, just, you know, kind of clarifying for Mr. Burnett here and for myself. So what that means is we wouldn't necessarily take over that if it doesn't come to pass that building management doesn't take over management of Lockwood Matthews Mansion. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's for me. Yeah.
I think, yeah, I'm asking. I'm asking.
I think fundamentally, in response to Burnett's comment, we are requesting approval on elevator service. It's multiple locations. So we're not
Right,
changing.
okay.
We're not changing the basic scope of the request is elevator service contract. So that's the given. You could have 5 location, 2 location, but we may be adding 2 more location to it. So it's not like you're approving one thing, you know, is the existing portion that Mr. Burnett is talking about. the existing piece of it is actually, we have elevator, we have existing need to provide elevator maintenance services. So we're adding two location, potential of adding two location to it. So we're not, again, this is, again, there is a specificity to this. It's elevator service. It's just a location when we add two more location potentially.
Okay, I mean, that makes sense to me. I don't, but you know, I don't know if that helped, Mr. Burnett, but it helped make sense to me. Anyone have any further questions, comments? Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and call for a vote then. All in favor, please raise your hand. 1, 2, 3. Opposed? Abstentions? All right, I have one abstention. Ms. Dunn, are you abstaining? Are you?
Yeah, no, I'm abstaining. I'm sorry.
Okay, all right. Okay, well, okay, so that does pass 3-2, and so we can, you know, take that to the council, you know, move it on to the council and talk about it further there. Okay, let's move on to item B, State Project 103-0263N, Norwalk High School P-TECH Eversource Energy Gas Agreement. Number 1, authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute a general gas service agreement with Eversource Energy for the Norwalk High School project for a term of 15 years and 0 contribution amount. Will someone move the item, please? Ms. Evie, thank you. Go ahead, Alan. I'm going to turn this over to you.
Yeah, Norwalk High School, as you know, we are under construction. We're doing still. We're going to be providing a project update at later on this at the meeting. What we're requesting is that the building is currently designed. About 85% of the building is actually electrical, supported as the energy source. There's about 15%. These are just rough percentage that I'm throwing out there. It's actually natural gas. The reason being certain portion of the building, especially when it come down to these larger spaces, electric heating, and it doesn't work well. It's not very efficient. So what we're doing is that for these larger areas, we still use natural gas, and it's only a portion of the building that we do that. It's really based on the efficiency. And in terms of why we do it, I mean, in today's technology as well as energy efficiency, electric heating is actually supposed to be more efficient. But at the same time, that cost, generally speaking, a little bit higher than natural gas still. But at the same time, is that depends how the electricity is generated. Electricity is getting greener and potentially even more greener in the future. So that's why the industry has gone towards the electrical with heat pumps and everything else. So again, it's not the entire building. It's only roughly around 15% of the building that's actually heated by gas. And because those spaces are large and equipment when you design larger equipment, natural gas provides more BTU to run inside electricity. So this basically allow the gas company to install it and work out there's no cost to the city, but we are required to buy gas for I think it's 15 years. That's what agreement is, so that we don't put it in. If the gas companies spend money to install the service to us, and we don't use it, that's why they want to make sure that there is a commitment to use that portion of the building to continue to use gas in the future.
And providing the natural gas for these, you know, this particular portion of the building has no impact on decisions around solar. Is that correct?
No, that's had nothing to do with that.
Right. Okay. Just to clarify. Mr. Freyer.
Yes, thanks. Alan, we've had this I think this sounds very familiar, that we've had discussed this, the need for, not the need, but the alternative of using natural gas, because it's a large area that we have to fill. And we do this at some of the other schools as well, and other buildings that are new.
Yeah, typically that, you know, for every one of these major projects, we do have the engineering firm do a presentation to Land Use and Building Management Committee as part of the evaluation process when we decide how much of the building and the different, again, each one of these projects we do have a presentation to the committee to go over the strategy. But right now, all the bills, the industry wise, I mean, taking consideration of like what we've done in Jefferson and Cranberry and South North School, generally speaking, we are about 85% run, the building will run 85% is run on the electricity. The only 15% is really come down to the larger spaces. So it's what the industry's standard and recommendations are. So these are different. For every project, there's probably 2 or 3 engineering firms in the state that actually work on these projects, and these are, generally speaking, are the recommendation. Again, anticipating in the future, the electricity would be greener than what it is now, and so that so it is. That's why the electricity becomes more of a popular thing to do, as well as like with electricity, you can run heat pumps, which is more energy efficient. So I think that all that plays the balance is that how much the building is natural gas and how much is electricity supported.
Okay.
All set, Jim?
Yep, yep.
Okay. And let the record show, please, that Ms. Ayers joined the meeting. I believe it was about 7:25. You can correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Ayers, but you have the floor. Ms. Ayers, you have a question?
I did, and it wasn't working. I'm so sorry.
there you Okay.
I clocked it at 7:19, but 7:25.
Okay, sorry.
My question, Alan, first of all, good evening. My question for you is, can you just explain to us all the different types of energy source uses for this building? I've heard you say something about gas. I've heard you say something about electric and solar. Can you explain to us what are the different energy sources?
Alan, if you'd like, I could, I pulled up the presentation that we got from Van Zelm. I think it was in early 2023 as we were going through design. And this is where we kind of touched on the different sustainability items and the different energy sources. And I could share this presentation very quick if we want to get into it and kind of click through, but I just wanted to get in there and I reviewed the part on where we are using natural gas heat, and that's exactly where you described it in the larger areas, and that's for the auditoriums and the gymnasiums. But we do have the presentation available that we had presented, I think, in early 2023, if you want me to pull that up.
Mr. Phillips, and I'm just perusing through my notes. They are not good notes. I thought that presentation was what potentially may be used. Has that changed? Like, do we have a concrete, this is what we're using?
Yes, we are using natural gas for those single zone RTUs that serve auditoriums and the gymnasium spaces. And it's a balance of they're high efficient systems sized for those large areas. And that was the solution that the engineering team proposed for those areas in lieu of an electric system.
Again, and I so long ago, thank God I remember to get on the meeting night. Outside of that, and I understand what you're saying about those larger areas. Outside of those larger areas, what do we agree to use? I believe the presentation that we saw previous were potential things we were using. What I'm asking for, what is the actual thing that we're going to be using outside of the natural gas in those other areas?
It's primarily electric. And without going through all the documents, my understanding is that unless there's a small auxiliary item that has gas to it, it's the gas services for these RTUs for the large areas. And there's items, for example, hot water heaters that we chose to use electric on this project in lieu of gas. And those choices were made with the idea that we do have solar. We are trying to primarily use electric, but these large areas are best served by the natural gas.
Okay, so again, just so constituents are understanding, we're going to be using natural gas in certain areas. The majority of the building will be electric, and there will be some opportunities for solar. Is that my correct understanding?
Yes, and I think Alan, the rough percentages I think he stated were like 85% electric and 15% natural gas. So it is still primarily electric.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yep, no problem.
Any other questions on that? Ms. Dunn?
So that's 100%. Where does the solar come in? What is the plan for that?
If you like, I can show that, I can do that presentation next month. I don't, off top of my head, if I remember correctly, the rooftop system, again, don't quote me on this. I mean, I can send the committee. It's a complicated conversation. The reason being is that the solar panel, photovoltaic panel does not get installed for another 3 years. So the incentive amount and all that hasn't been, we are looking at today's standard. By the time we actually apply for those incentive, it may be different at that point. So we have not contracted how that's going to be implemented, but we do have projections about how much you generate and how much what the costs are, because these are called power purchase agreement. We don't install it as a capital project. We actually have a company come in, a solar developer come in, install it, and release it from them. So at the same time, we take advantage of the incentive money from Eversource, as well as for the tax credit, federal tax credits. So again, we haven't applied for those, or we don't know what it is. But I think generally speaking, I believe the rooftop system will generate about 1/3 of the electricity we use.
So kind of like we were talking about with the Sono school that kind of didn't work out with SNU. So you're saying projected 3 years from now, a portion of the 85% electrical will transition to solar. Do you have any kind of projection about what you're looking to do? Like, and does that affect the gas, or is the solar coming off of the gas transitioning?
Yeah, the two are totally separate things. So whenever we use the gas when we open the building up, that will continue. What it does when it generates electricity, it just reduces the amount of electricity we buy from the grid.
Okay, so we will continue with the 15% gas, even though the 85%.
Right, because the equipment, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Yeah, because the gas actually runs the equipment. So that same piece of equipment continue to run throughout the life of the building. So that piece of gas equipment will need gas to feed it, to support it. So the amount of gas we use will continue and will be consistent every year. So it doesn't changes. But then the electric, again, we use electricity, but then the solar panel will provide electricity into the building so that we buy less from the grid.
So it will only affect the 85% electric. It won't affect.
Right, we don't want gas at all. And also, I just want to, you mentioned South North School. South North School is very different in terms of how we look at it.
But I'm remembering that it costs
Yeah,
to install the equipment, and so that's why it's probably similar to this, that it will cost them to actually install it for us, the equipment.
yeah. The evaluation of South North School is totally different. The reason being, it's a partnership with SNU, and the city actually is not going to install. Generally speaking, on South North School, basically the option available to us in terms of implementing solar for South North School is that the South North School, if we do a solar system, would be what we call behind the meter. No, I'm sorry. It would be in front of the meter.
I understood that. I guess what I'm trying to figure out is 15 years is a long time for the contract. So I would expect that there would be a significant amount of money invested from Eversource into this gas, into the school. And at what point is like break even? Would it be, did we look at maybe just paying for the equipment? Is that even possible, and having a shorter time that were held. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I don't think we can even go there. The reason being they are bringing a gas line from the street. We are not in a position to do infrastructure improvement for Eversource. So when you're trenching and install a gas line in the street to bring to the building, it's not a city function. It's not a private function. It's a utility company responsibility.
There's a monopoly on that. It's not like you have any.
Yeah, and they depreciate based on
Jim,
yeah.
sorry.
We have the ability to I gotta think. I gotta look at this a little more carefully.
Just
But
seems like a
I
long
believe
time.
we are required to use gas. So we pay Eversource for delivery charges, not for generation, because we buy natural gas from the third party. Similar to electricity, we don't buy electricity from Eversource. We buy electricity from a wholesaler or national third party. So I mean, right now we're paying, I believe it's 9.9 cents for kilowatt hours starting in January 1st of this year. So that's what we pay. So again, if you look at your electric bill, depends on where you get it from, whether you buy it for a third party that's a provider, Eversource, I believe they are somewhere around 16 cents, if I'm mistaken. And again, don't quote me on that, but we are paying about 10 cents per kilowatt hour right now.
You know what, similar to that, you asked me what I'm paying. I would hope that in 10 years we're all on solar. That would be my wish for the world. But if we are still on a 15-year contract, that's not going to work for the city. So, I would like to know that there's options personally, but I guess, we do what we have to do at the moment, But if things are changing so rapidly, it would be really good to not have to be tied to that for 15 years would be my concern.
I think one thing that I just going off tangent a little bit here. I think it's interesting because when we talk about Norwalk being an urban city, and if you are in a community that's on a suburbia, when you build a small building at 100,000 square feet, you can spread it out. So you can potentially 100,000 square feet of a rooftop space for solar. But being in Norwalk, being an urban area, we're building a 3 or 4 story building. So you're 100,000 square feet. The footprint is only let's say 25,000 square feet. Your ability to do solar is 1/4 or 1/3 of what you could be in a suburban area. So I think that's a little bit of perspective that being in an urban area is not it's not in terms of solar production for the same square footage of a building. You have much smaller footprints. You have less surface area, and you still have all the mechanical equipment on the roof. So I mean, 30% may not sound that great, but you can look potential. But imagine this is a 1-story building for 300. You would probably 3 times the amount of generation because you have so much rooftop, right?
But that's with the current configuration of how solar works. I've watched recently, they're coming out with roofing tiles that do that, and there's a big move towards geothermal, which is not great with all our granite and stuff, but you never know. Hopefully in 5 years we'll have something new, exciting, and even more cleaner for the world. I just don't want to be married to a 15 if we don't absolutely have to. So that's just the conversation I wanted to have about it. So
I mean, it does seem that right now there aren't many options, and I it's optimistic, right? The optimist in you, Heather, and I think we all feel the same way. We want renewable green energy, as much as we can, Any other questions or comments? All right, well then, let's go ahead and vote on this item. All in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4 opposed, abstentions. You're gonna abstain. Okay, all right, so that passes 5 in favor, 1 abstention. Okay, moving on to item C, boiler purchase approval for Rowayton Elementary School HVAC project. authorize the purchasing agent to issue a purchase order to FW Web Company to purchase the boilers for the Rowayton Elementary State Project 103-001 HVAC-N in the amount of $109,840. Funds are available in account number noted. And A, authorize allowance for change order in an amount not to exceed $5,492, account number noted. Will someone please move that? Mr. Burnett, thank you very much. Alan, so we have actually 2 boilers that we're purchasing, but only this one falls over that 100,000 mark. And so we don't have to, we're only dealing with Rowayton and not, I'm going to let you talk about this because we're doing this for the state, which is a different process than we usually do. Correct?
Yeah, these are replacing as part of the school HVAC project. We have to replace 2 existing boilers at Rowayton, and also we have 2 at Silvermine that we need to replace. We went out to get pricing. We are looking to have these things, these boilers replaced this summer. So in the time sequencing wise, we had to pre-order these boilers so that we can get delivered by hopefully in the middle of July. So we get installed in summer a little bit, maybe in September, in order to get it operational by in October. So we are doing this pre-purchase in advance of actually going through the bidding process for the installation. This way we get a jump on it because delivery time between 8 to 12 weeks. So that's why we're going through this process. The 2 boiler for Rowayton is a little bit over $100,000. That's why it comes to the Common Council. Silvermine's boiler, it's I think it's $60,000 or $70,000 somewhere around there. So we do a direct we issue a purchase order for those. Again, this is all anticipation that we are actually going out to bid next week for the installation and from air conditioning equipment as well as these installing these boilers. But this will give us a jump on terms of ordering so that we would have them in advance of the construction contracts.
Ellen, I have a question. So it's not common for us to purchase through the state bid list, and so I'm curious that just to have you talk about that program and why we don't normally do that. It's clear why we're doing it this time, but why don't we normally purchase through that process?
It's kind of interesting because it's a little complicated conversation. The reason being that if it's a perfect world, we always want to bid these things. The reason being is that when the state have a state contract pricing, they bid out a certain point, so they have a approved vendor list. But that still doesn't make them highly competitive. I mean, they are not bidding on this specific project, so they are qualified as a state bidder. But at the same time, is that you still won't get pricing from them because doesn't mean that they're lowest. So for this boiler, we actually went to the state and looked at the listing. They have 3 distributors that sells boilers. So because we need to expedite it, we actually go out. We actually get quote from all 3 companies. 2 of them submitted pricing, and 1 decided not to submit. So there's it's a little bit of a hybrid process that we got pre-approved by the state, and we still have to get pricing because you can't just go to 1 because it doesn't mean that they're the best price either. Even the state have a list. But I think purchasing's position is that if we're not because of this time crunch, we would probably bid it out so that we can truly get a competitive pricing. But this is there's a certain amount of competitiveness because the state went through a process previously, and then now we get pricing, so we get narrowed down a little bit and get pricing. But again, from purchasing perspective, we probably want to just bid it out. But again, the time frame doesn't allow us to do it. That's why Sharon's office decided that this is okay. It's a hybrid process a little bit.
And you don't anticipate this problem with the other schools?
Hmm?
We have 6 schools. You don't anticipate this timing problem with the other schools? We have 6 projects on this.
Yeah, we have 6. Well, that's the same reason that I don't know you remember on Brookside School. We actually took that project instead of going on construction. We actually bid it out because each project is a little different. Brookside School is actually replacing rooftop unit, and we had to order them, and the delivery time is probably like 16 weeks. So we actually start that project earlier this year, and we're not going for a construction manager. We just bid it out. That's a different process. On the other 5 projects, we are looking to do work this summer for those projects. There's boiler going on, also remediation and doing penetrations and where we go, and there's some of the work in advance this summer. And a couple of school, I don't remember which one, we will actually have to do a second shift work during the school year. So some of these classroom, we actually start taking ceilings out, and then for the whole school semester, 2 semester, some area we will actually have exposed ceiling, because we can't do all this work in one summer. So we're doing work this summer, potentially all second shift work during the school year, and then finishing up next summer. So there's a whole kind of very intricate phasing plan that we're developing in order to tackle all 6 schools. So it's not as simple as work, because summer only give us about 7 weeks to do work. If you have to do abatement, it takes 2 weeks. We're never going to do all that work in one summer. So again, so certain thing we can do and this summer, certain work because we basically want to do the abatement this summer, and some of the exterior work, and then at the end, certain school will actually do work during the school year.
Right, and then in addition to having only the specific time to work, the state has a deadline requirement that we have to meet to complete the project, correct?
Yes, originally under the grant, it's the December this year. So we have asked for extension to the December 2026 already, but still under that schedule, we are still very tight. And that's why we prefer not to do second shift work, because it's more work. It's because every time we do some work during like off hour, like 6 o'clock at night, we got to finish up and clean up for school session the next day. So it's not very cost effective. It's not very efficient, but sometimes we don't have choices. So we are trying to minimize the amount of work that we have to do during the school semester. But again, there's so much work that we cannot finish in one summer. So we got to do this summer and on. All
right. Are there any other questions? Comments? Alrighty, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, please raise your hand. That's unanimous. Thank you very much, everyone. All right, let's move on to discussion. We've got the monthly report for school construction projects. And Dan's going to take that, I'm sure. There you are. Hi, Dan.
Yeah.
Again.
Let me pull this up on my screen, share it for you. All right, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Right. Overall project schedules. South Norwalk Elementary School. We got a photo.
A little bit larger.
Sure. Is that better?
Yep.
All right, so generally speaking, starting from the exterior of the building, there's a little more detail on this description, but I'll do a high level for everyone. Outside of the building, the brick veneer is the first half of the building is more or less complete. They're close to wrapping up the second half of the building. We have exterior glazing going in. About half the building is complete, and they're moving on to the second half of the building. On the interior, we have MEP rough-in, primarily on the second half of the building. The first part, which in this photo is the gym and the cafeteria, you kind of get a glimpse of the upstairs here. That MEP rough-in is substantially complete. You see that the sheetrock is up, insulation is in the walls. Same thing at the perimeter of the gym area here. There's sheetrock up. And as far as the Oxford properties that were purchased recently by the city, those have been demolished, and they're currently working on the site work to prep those areas for the new work. But just to go through a few photos for an update. Again, here's the gym stage in the background. To the left here is the cafeteria. This photo was taken underneath this accordion partition that opens and closes so that you can open up the cafeteria into the gym. This is I'll zoom out a little bit just to see the description. Service area elevation. You can see the final glazing is in on the second floor, the aluminum frames, the glass. First floor, we have the frames were in with the masonry work. The doors will be installed shortly. This is the cafeteria entrance on the south side of the building. So these are the doors that would enter. To the left here is a stairwell. The glass is underway, and this is glass that will provide a large amount of natural light into the stairwell as you travel between floors. Step back a little bit. Over to the right here is where we just were. Hopefully you can see my mouse, but this is the cafeteria entrance. Over here to the left where this red truck is the main entrance with the canopy. This is the main corridor with the learning stair that goes from the first floor to the second floor as you walk in. And as we step away from the building here, you see the curbs are going in. They're preparing the grade. We have the underground drainage and other utilities in place, and they're prepping this area for paving over the summer. Not too exciting, but rooftop units are on site and on the building. To the right here, we have some of our aluminum curtain wall frames that will go into the upper area of that main entrance. You can see in the background some of the openings that are temporarily closed, but they have the material on site and are moving towards installation. Not too exciting of a photo, but to the left here is Oxford Ave. These are the properties that were purchased, and the structures have been demolished. They're at this point, this was the middle of March when this photo was taken. These were being cleaned up, and they have their material ready to begin grading and doing the site work in this area. But it's kind of the first glimpse of seeing how much these properties being cleared out open up the site and seeing the building in the background here. And I don't think I mentioned it before, but as part of the update, we're working closely with Newfield, who's our construction manager. And as Alan's done on other school construction projects, we have a timeline for them to confirm that we are, and right now we are on schedule, but by the end of April is we have the go, no go confirmation. If there is an issue or something that comes to our attention, we'll bring it to everyone's attention at that time. But by on or around April 30th, we typically confirm that we are in fact on schedule to open for the fall of this year.
Mr. Burnett has a question.
Yes, thank you. So on that point, what is we're April 2nd, so we're just a few weeks away from that update. What is the current confidence level that we'll get a thumbs up on April 30th or sooner?
There are always hurdles as we get closer to the end of the project. There are some procurement issues that we've encountered. Some we've resolved, some are still existing, but we're working either through contingency plans with something that may need to be replaced in the future if need be, but developing plans to make sure that we can open on time. I with confidence, I would say, I think we do have a plan in place right now with what we know to get to the finish line, but we're going to iron everything out and make sure that we can commit to that by the end of this month, early next month.
The only issue, am I live? Yeah. The only issue that we have that we are aware of is actually with electrical switching gear delivery. So we are working on an alternate plan right now. So, I mean, the question is like how confident we are to provide an update in a month. There is one issue that we are trying to find a solution to. It's about electric switch gear delivery date. We are looking for a different unit that we get different equipment that we can put in to transition in, which is considered permanent. But at the same time, is that we are working with a Southern Electric Works new, as well as the engineer, as well as the manufacturer distributor, to find option to us to make sure that we are staying on schedule. So we do need this month to figure all the remaining issues out. And then we have every intention to push the electrical contractor or sort of manufacturer to provide a solution that will help us to meet the schedule that we have.
Okay, thank you.
If I know we do a quick the tour recently, but the building is really moving along really well. And then again, the only thing that a little bit of a concern is again the electrical gear. So everything else is right now we're putting up sheetrock. We are doing primer on sheetrock and stuff like that. So it is moving quite nicely. So okay.
Yeah, I have to say, since the day we had that tour, it's pretty amazing to see how much has been accomplished. How long ago was that? 4 weeks, 5?
About 3 weeks. I would
Yeah,
say.
it wasn't that long ago. Also, I happened to notice that, the soil seems pretty dried out there compared to the day we were there, which was quite a
I
mud
mean,
pit.
if the committee wants interested, we can also arrange another tour. It's fun. I mean, it's
It is
exciting.
fun.
So, but I think
Mhm.
after the end of this month, we will come back and confirm whether all the effort that we're putting in terms of finding a solution to this electrical gear issue. We are looking positively right now and we have a recommendation by the engineering team to see how we can make this work. And we just had to go through Southern Electric Work because they provided a transformer, and then we make sure this proposed equipment will work well with it. And the other thing is we're checking with our city's electrical inspector to make sure that there's no issue with it. And then because we need to get this gear in so that we can run the building and test the equipment properly. So there's a lot of effort being made behind the scene to maintain schedule. So again, we will advise the Board of Education as well as the Common Council by end of this month. So I mean, you hear from us. Either I email the committee, or we'll come back at May meeting to go over where we are.
Okay, if there's no other questions for South Norwalk, I'll move into the high school.
Oh, I'm sorry, one
Yep.
additional question. If for some reason, we cannot resolve, the current electrical switches issues, immediately, do we have an option of delaying the opening as opposed to opening it in August, opening it maybe mid-year? Is that an option to get us more time, or is it if we don't open in August, we have to mothball the school until 2026?
I don't think it's time for us to talk about it right now. We are developing this strategy to be on time in terms of opening. So if for some reason, again, everything we're looking at, there's an issue, and we are finding solution to it, and then we just need the confirmation that all of this is going to work. And we're not looking at that as an option right now in terms of delay opening kind of thing. We are looking to open on time. So But, you know, you asked the question, that's why I'm responding to it. You know, I just want to be very transparent about, you know, some of the challenges we have. We do have some challenges, but we are working it out. And as of today, when we're talking about it, and last week, there's a lot of meetings and planning to determine an option available. We do have an option available. We just need to confirm with all the parties to make sure it works. And we are pretty confident we are, but again, maybe I shouldn't even mention that we have an issue. But again, you know, when you ask what are the risks kind of thing, there's always risks. But at the same time, this is the last one that we encounter. You know, we have So anyway,
Okay,
we
no,
would develop a strategy if that come up. But you know, it's we only I don't even want to go into it because it's just purely speculation at this point. I mean, the real thing is we're dealing with a electrical supply issue, and we are developing a solution, and we just make sure that's implementable. And if you ask a percentage, I would say we're 95% comfortable that this solution is going to work. So I don't want to create some kind of atmosphere that we are not delivering, but we are doing everything we can. So I just didn't want to talk about the risk involved kind of thing, but we have every intention to deliver the building on time at this point.
no, the 95% gives much comfort. So thank you.
Okay, if that's all. We'll jump into Norwalk High School P-TECH. Starting from the ground up, underground utilities continue across the building footprint. Portion of the building slab on grade has been placed, probably about a third of it, with the remainder to follow after the underground utilities are completed.
We're still
Steel-
seeing the South Norwalk School on the screen.
Are you? Let me stop sharing and reshare because that's not what I'm seeing.
I think that was the high school.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, that's the high school.
So steel erection began the first week of February. The crane has relocated to its second location. We anticipate approximately 7 different locations to erect the entire building as it moves around, and it's limited by the reach and the loads of the steel. And at each location, it'll be there for approximately 3 to 5 weeks. So this work will take us into probably midsummer. The building is scheduled to be complete fall semester of 2027, and the project overall completion, which includes the demolition of the existing building and the development of the site with the fields and tennis courts, is expected for fall of 2028. And to the right here, sorry, I don't know why it keeps zooming out, but this is the first section of the building, which is the P-TECH, or not P-TECH, this is the high school wing. Looks like we have the main level, second floor, third, and then fourth floor here. Metal deck is in place. Zoomed out a little bit. This is what we were just looking at. This is the P-TECH wing. Over here is, you can kind of see in the background here, this is the above kind of the administration area, the main entrance out of the front as they continue to work their way through the building. Next to the P-TECH wing, as we get towards the common area and the kind of utility spaces, the electrical rooms, the cafeteria space, they're prepping the concrete slab here. Just zoomed out, picture of the, zoom out a little more. Picture of the crane, the steel going up. A drone image looking from, it's flying above the high school in this photo, looking towards King Street in the background here. We can see the pool, which has been completed and tested before it was backfilled. This is the P-TECH wing to the right here where the slab has been placed. And in the front here, this is the main entrance administration space. The overall project schedule going through fall of 2028. That's what we have for the high school update. Are there any? Yep, go ahead.
She quite off topic, but somebody fell. Was it at the current high school or at the pool that they're building? That's being built.
It was at the current high school. I believe it was a housekeeper yesterday morning.
I don't need details. I was just
Oh,
wondering.
Yeah. So yes,
Yeah, thank you.
and he's well.
So far, everything's on time,
Yep.
on budget?
Yep, there have been some, there's with every construction project, there's things to overcome. There was, with the large size of the project and the flow of the steel, fabrication for the different building areas and the crane erecting it, maintaining a continuous flow of incoming material for them to continue working through the building has been a challenge, but there's been a number of conversations and commitments made by the structural steel contractor so that we can maintain the schedule up through that point. It's a long project and we'll continue to monitor it and make sure that we remain on schedule.
Well, it'll be exciting when we finally have a chance to tour that building. I imagine that's a ways away yet, but it's exciting.
Yeah, they've started, I don't think I mentioned in my update, the first section of the building, they did place some of the elevated slabs. So there will actually be building and structure to walk in the near future. So might be sooner than you think.
Great. We have that to look forward to.
The next item is about the HVAC projects. I think we have some conversation about this already. Again, we are actually contracted for the Brookside School rooftop unit replacement, and it's been ordered. Anticipating delivery equipment, it's beginning to middle of July. That's the projection date, so that we can actually take the existing units off the roof and put the new one in. Recently, the contract was about $2 million. We budgeted about 3.3 for that project. So you figure contingencies and another miscellaneous thing, it's probably not going to be up around $2.4 million project. So we have sufficient money in Brookside School to cover that project. Right now, what we're doing is we had hired Newfield Construction as our construction manager, and they are working with the two design engineers, and they are putting out the bid package together. It's scheduled to go out to bid next week, and then the bids are going to come back at the end of this month, so that will be submitted to Land Use and Building Management Committee to do a guarantee maximum price for all the other 5 projects. Again, we are looking at this summer construction, and some places will be a second shift work during the school year, and then finishing up next summer. So it's 2 summer and the school year in order to implement these projects. So we'll see what those numbers comes in by the end of this month. And the location, just for everybody's information, it's Wayne School, Bryan McMahon, Nalmic, Marvin, Brookside, and Silvermine. In total project, all combined, is about $36 million. We're getting 60% reimbursement for these projects.
A worthy investment. And just wonderful that we have this reimbursement. Any other questions, comments?
I think that's all we have.
Dan, I think you can stop sharing your screen.
Yeah, I don't have any exciting photos for that project yet. So.
That's okay. Yeah, HVAC, it's not very pretty.
Yeah, HVAC, not much to look at.
Okay. All right. Well, I think that's it. Thank you, everyone. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Ms. Dunn, thank you. All right, all in favor? Very good. Good night, everyone. Thank you so much. Have a good night.